This is Mutabaruka. We want to present to you a wholesome kind of level of consciousness right now. So subscribe and tell your friend them. This is Mutabaruka. Yeah, greetings. This is Mutabaruka. I want to really tackle a subject here where it's so heart-wrenching that sometimes it breaks your heart considering say you fight for the liberation of African people over the years. We look at Africa and we hear that Africa is the richest continent, but it have the poorest people them. We look at Africa and we hear say Africa was once the cradle of civilization and the glory and the splendor of Africa. Yet in this modern time, we still look like we can't get to think together. Why we can't get to think together? Why is so much diverse political, religious arguments about how to liberate Africa, when really the liberation of Africa must be with the people? But when we look at Africa today, when we look on the leaders of today, we recognize that you can't hardly find a leader if you can't find any that is representing the people, the majority of the people, so to speak. Because most of these leaders was educated in Europe. Most of these leaders have a European outlook. They do have a Pan-African outlook. Their liberation for Africa is embedded in what they learned in Oxford and Harvard and Cambridge and all these things. So you find a whole heap of them, after gaining their education, them go back to Africa and then go into the political system and then become presidents or prime ministers. And they have the same thinking that the slave master have for Africa. How can you free Africa with the slave master ideology, philosophy, religion? How can you say you want to free Africa when most of the things that cause Africa to be in this degradation is the same education you get from the same man who enslaved your ancestors and is still enslaving us? We need some leaders who can lead the people, because we don't want to hear that the people lead and the leaders have to follow, because that sometimes leads to some devastating effect upon the population and upon the country. We need some leaders in Africa that know and understand what it is for Africa to be free, to develop its own potential, to really deal with its resources rather than to have the Chinese, the Americans, the French, the Portuguese, all of the different nations that enslave Africa, to be still in Africa right now, plundering, raping, robbing and stealing. Look how much songs have been sung. Look how much speeches have been made. Even this speech I know is one of the speech them. Why is it that we're so reluctant and so thick-headed and so engulfed in white supremacy that we can't recognize that the liberation of Africa is dependent on African people, not on the Chinese, because the Chinese have their own agenda, the French have their own agenda, the British have their own agenda, the Americans have their own agenda. None of them is working in the interest of African people. It is we that must free ourselves. That's why Marcus Garvey said, confidence in self. If you have no confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. And the race of life right now is to allow African people to design a system and confront the past and deal with the present, to go inside of the future. Too long now, African people is depending on them slave masters to free them. Political ideologies that come from Europe cannot free African people. The white man God cannot save black people from oppression. You and the man who enslaved you have the same God can't free you from the man who enslaved you with his God, and it's still enslaving us with his God. Right now, Christianity is spreading across Africa more than it's spreading across Europe. As a matter of fact, more European countries now that you see is politically and economically up there. It's moving away from that. Yet still Africa is embedded in it to the point now where you have Africans who take up the mantle of what they call televangelism and is robbing and raping the people them with the same thinking where the white man did come to Africa with the same thinking that the white man have in him country. The only difference between we and them right now is that them is using them religion to get rich, and we is using our religion for them religion to bow down our knees every day talking about we praying. Marcus Garvey said the black man pray too much, he must get up off his knee. That is really what is happening. So we recommend that the people them have to decide them destiny right now. We're not looking for next hero. We're not looking for next Marcus Garvey. We're not looking for next Kwame Nkrumah. We're not looking for no other leader right now. We the people must lead. And if the people lead, the leaders must follow. And that is what it is. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We're not waiting on no more hero. We don't want no more Marcus Garvey and, Patrice Lumumba and Paul Bogle and all these things. That is not going to help us now. We have to take up the mantle from where those people start and end and continue the journey. And the journey is we are ahead of us. Because every time we go forward, we see we take some steps backward. Look at how we live in. Look at what we're praying to and how we're praying. Can you truly say that what we are doing right now is liberating African people? And I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the collective. Because somehow we get through the crack. For some reason or another, a whole heap will get through the crack. But we're talking about a nation as a national system, a national understanding of self as African people. We as African people must decide, must design, and must maintain our Africanness no matter what. Because when we take it, white supremacy is what is governing the world right now. And we have to come out of the class of that because logically, we wasn't supposed to be here. After 400 years of destruction from the African race, we wasn't supposed to be here. But guess what? We survived. We survived the Atlantic Ocean. We survived all the slavery, the oppression and all that thing. And we're still there. So if we are still here after all of that, things can't get worse. It must get better. And it's up to we to get it better. Rastafari is a black power movement with a spiritual nucleus. It is the only black power movement that come in the West that have at its center a spiritual awakening. And that is why Rastafari is so unique in the Western world. It's fighting for the liberation of African people, even though, especially in a reggae music, you hear people that twist it and turn it round to make it mean something different. That means white people all over the place now cannot jump up on a tongue about one love, one heart, let's get together and be alright. Yet still them don't go tell them family. These young white Rasta youth will come from Italy and Germany. Them don't sit down and talk to them parents about our struggle, our liberation. But when a reggae concert, them a jump about Jah Rastafari and a jump about this and this and that. And now we're the most red, gold and green. And I go like say them is more Rasta than you who come from Jamaica and who has talk about Rasta. How that possible? How we allow that? Because them a usurp our thinking again, just like how them usurp and tell us say Egypt, no in Africa. When we hear about Egypt, when I was a child and I hear about Egypt, I think say Egypt was a place in the sky. Because I never know says black people have built the pyramids them and all them something. I never know that. I never know that because all of a sudden you says some space people build the pyramid. We don't know says black people. As a matter of fact, we demonize Egypt because the Bible talk about Israel and Egypt. And most Rasta see themselves as Israelite. So them say, yeah, Pharaoh wicked, Egypt this and Egypt that. Yet still Egypt is the one of the cradle of civilization. So how we make them do that? How they make we come to free them thinking. And them come to free them thinking. And engulf it and push it in a way that we now start to say, yeah, well, we're all one and we're all this and we're all that and all them something. Of course, we're all human beings. But there's a liberation struggle that is need to be one before we start talking about one love, one heart, let's get together and be all right. There's a liberation struggle that need to be fought from everyone away. Everyone away need to fight it before we can say, yes, this is that and this is that. Because we know say human beings is human beings. But it's not all human beings going to the craziness where black people are going through, where African people are going through. And if we don't find out and realize that philosophy, that all one race superior is racism, we're going to always hug up this and hug up that and hug up that and then lose focus. We're going to lose focus and sell out Africa again. And Rasta will talk about this and Rasta will talk about that. Them go on like say everything okay. Then when you see them all in Europe, just like the leaders them in Africa. When you go, me personally witness it. When you go to Paris, I will heap of them politicians. They pay white woman, them they with. Nobody don't know that in them go to Africa. Because when they go to Africa, them go like say them is black and black and black and black. And when you see them in Europe in some party, up here white people them hug up and go to sleep with them. And you have Rasta. Musician and artist. Them dep on tour. It's that them do. Them lose the post, them lose the focus. And that is what we need. We need a focus. Rastafari is a liberation movement. It's not a religion. So, Rasta, over the years, a lot of Rastafari brethren come to Rastafari, the Selassie, through the Bible. You know, and use the Bible to validate why he is a Rasta and why Haile Selassie is who Haile Selassie is. Now, through technology, and true information, there's a lot of things that we know now that we never know then. What we will find out is that a whole heap of, we're not on a Rasta, a whole heap of people afraid of new information. So when they find new information now, they prefer hold on to the old belief system and don't and reject something that is factual and true. Why will I say that? Because in reading the Bible, we can say there are certain things that is invalid right now. It's not necessary. Because after 4,000 years a man writes something. Oh, you know how to try to live off of that something when science and technology and human beings and modern things advance. I mean, it's kind of stressful. If you know, if you hear Rastaman quote certain things in the Bible, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and all these things, and I evaluate Jesus when he said Jesus, try to find all sort of way. What I'm actually do is accept a white Jesus, but black meat. Now, if you accept a white Jesus and the things in the Bible about Jesus, and you say Jesus is not a white man, he's a black man, but now you change the color of the man, but you still hold on to the things where the Bible says about the white man. How that possible? How that possible? Because it don't make no difference then. The color don't make no difference. If you are going to associate a man, I feed 5,000 people with how much? 12 barrel over and 5 fish or whatsoever. Or him a walk on water. And then you say, no, it's not a white man, it's a black man. But you tell that about the black man, feed 5,000 people with some little fish and thing, and that same man walk on water. It's craziness. It's craziness. We are talking about Rastafari as a movement of people who is searching for liberation from white supremacy and oppression from white people, from them days there. But we now incorporate something that pacify we. And right now, we see the Bible, especially the New Testament, as a pacifying force in a most Christian belief and in a Rastafari. Because all we can talk about now is echoing one love, one love, one love. And it's managed to say, until the philosophy that all one race superior and the other inferior is finally and permanently abandoned. What is the philosophy that all one race superior and the other inferior? It's racism. Racism and white supremacy. That is the philosophy. There's a philosophy. And you don't want it more pronounced like now than in America, where you see how much black people get shot down by white people. And when you see how the COVID that go across the nation, it's only colored people, black people and Latinos, and them things that have the motivate, because there's a embedded racism in America. We don't allow for certain Medicare and all these things to go inside of the communities of African people and Latino people. So when a man say, until the philosophy that all, when I Selassie say, until the philosophy that all one race superior, what is the philosophy? When you talk about the philosophy that I Selassie talk about, what are you saying? Because him craft him words right. Until the philosophy that all one race superior and the other inferior. What is it that all one race superior and the other inferior? Racism and white supremacy. But in the end, him say, until that day, we Africans will fight if it is necessary, because we are confident in the victory of good over evil. Until that day. Which day? Which day? Because we're going to fight. We're going to fight and fight and fight until liberation is our goal. And that was what Rastafari, Leonard Howell, and all these men came with. Them come with a liberation movement that was to turn into religion now. That was a certain man afraid when them see white people to talk about African consciousness, African awareness, because they don't want to make the white person feel away funny when they talk about film liberation.
The informative information presented in this video is motivational and is positively aimed at inspiring, educating and entertaining the viewers with the cutting edge of critical reasoning. If you enjoy the contents on the Black Radar YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to show your support.